Good morning and welcome. My name is Marcy Mowry, President of the Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation. The Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the long-term sustainability of our state park and forest system. We are here today in the Capitol Rotunda, both in celebration and in protest. We celebrate the legacy of our state parks and state forests. We protest its proposed demise. Today is a fitting day to both celebrate and protest, as it is the anniversary of the death of Dr. Maurice K. Goddard, father of our park system. Potential funding levels for state parks and forests, as well as the wholesale leasing of our state forest land for gas drilling, stand to undo the legacy of Doc Goddard, who worked tirelessly to improve our forest system and build a park within 25 miles of every citizen in Pennsylvania. On this day, we stand to not only lose the legacy of Doc, but also that of other great Pennsylvania conservationists, Gifford Pinchot and Joseph Rothrock. Gifford Pinchot, the two-time governor of Pennsylvania, was the first trained forester in the United States. Pinchot, who coined the term conservation after witnessing rampant misuse of our natural resources, is often credited for helping to develop state park and state forest systems across the country. He understood the need to apply scientific principles to the maintenance and use of forests and rivers for the good of humankind. As Pinchot once said, the care of our forests is the duty of the nation. Joseph Rothrock was the father of the Pennsylvania forest system. In 1895, Rothrock became the Commonwealth's first commissioner of forestry and began purchasing lands for state forest reservations. These reservations were based on the principle of watershed protection, as the deforestation of the land in the mid-1800s had led to terrible floods, wildfires, and degraded water quality. The leaders at that time realized that without a sound forest, these environmental issues stood in the way both of economic growth and long-term human health. Advance a few generations to Maurice Goddard. In 1955, Goddard was appointed the head of the Department of Forests and Waters. When Doc Goddard retired in 1979, after an unprecedented 24 years as a cabinet officer to 5 governors, he had added 45 state parks and an additional 130,000 acres of state park land. He raised Pennsylvania's parks and forestry departments to national leaders, and we still hold this position, as the Pennsylvania State Park System is currently a contender to earn the prestigious Gold Park Award from the National Recreation and Parks Association, and our forest system is one of the largest certified sustainable forests in the nation. Doc Goddard not only had the vision to reach his goals, he recognized the need to fund his vision. The Oil and Gas Lease Fund, Act 256 of 1955, dedicated revenues from oil and gas lease to state forests and parks. For the length of its existence, until this year, this fund has been dedicated to conservation, recreation, and flood control. What is taken from the public trust, oil and gas, is then replaced into the public trust in the form of revenue. There are true and measurable costs in the extraction of oil and gas resources, such as loss of land, clean water, and wildlife habitat, which can be at least partially ameliorated by returning the revenues to conservation and recreation. Goddard also advocated for 2 successful statewide bond issues, Project 70 in 1963 and Project 500 in 1968, raising almost $600 million for public lands, recreational facilities, and other environmental enhancements. Goddard's work profoundly influenced national conservation policy and is credited as the model for the Federal Land and Water Conservation Act. Yet we stand to lose this rich heritage in the sweep of a pen. My colleagues today will talk about the values of a strong park and forest system. I would like to personalize it to the values of the family. What strikes me from personal observation and reading anecdotes is that memories are made in our state parks and forests, memories that last a lifetime and transcend generations. Let me talk about Leah. Leah is the 5th generation to Summer and Elk State Forest. In the 1930s, my grandfather started a hunting camp on the edge of the Elk State Forest. While hunting season was reserved for the men, summer was open to families. 5 generations have been summering at that cabin. No matter where we are, we make time to spend a week together picking blueberries, hiking the trails, and playing in the water. We access our camp via forest roads, hike on forest trails, and swim in waters protected by the forest. Because all of this stand to change. Earlier this summer, I realized that of 50 parks, the estimated number of parks that could have been impacted by Senate Bill 850 were removed from the system due to budget shortfalls. It took me back to the number of parks in Pennsylvania that were here the year of my birth, 1965. It was as if my whole lifetime was erased. While closures have not yet happened, we are seeing a loss of service. Almost 200 wage staff in the Bureau of Forestry are on leave without pay. Rangers, maintenance staff, and forest fire suppression staff. The same thing is occurring in state parks. Over 100 wage positions were not filled. Parks are carrying 42 salaried staff vacancies. 100 wage staff were cut early, and an anticipated 100 will be cut in the spring. We are seeing campgrounds closing early, portions of parks closing, and programs being reduced. Parks and forests, outdoor recreation in general, are vital to human and economic well-being. I have one more comment. Rick Galello from Lock Haven was unable to join us, but he did send a letter. It says, to all Pennsylvanians, Lock Haven is on the move forward at a time when many of our core communities are treading water or worse. A 65-room Marriott Fairfield Inn and Suites is about to open. We've recently completed a conference center. New restaurants are opening. New condos are being built and new stores are opening. Why? A large part is our access to the PA Wilds and Pennsylvania State Parks and Forests like Sproul and Bald Eagle. We are preparing for the Mega Transect, a 25-mile adventure which will attract 750 hikers in about 3 weeks. We support the Heiner Challenge, which is a 16-mile event in the Sproul State Forest. Almost every car visiting Lock Haven has bikes on board and are either going to or coming from the Rails to Trails in Pine Creek Gorge. Many are also kayaking on the creeks, Pine, Fishing, Bald Eagle, and the Susquehanna River. The state parks and forests aren't just pretty. They're an economic and community development driver. Rick Galello, Mayor, Lock Haven. We've heard today about the economic benefits, the societal benefits, the health benefits. We've celebrated the legacy. We have concerns. We have concerns about the funding levels. We have concerns about drilling on state forest lands. We have 4 historic markers behind me. 3 celebrating some of our founding fathers. 1 is a historic marker that we hope to never see here in Harrisburg. September 2009, end of the state parks and forests as we know it. Let's not have that be the legacy that we leave for our children.